Every single day, there's a shiny new AI tool that's promising to automate the boring parts of your business, especially in marketing. Chatbots that instantly reply, email tools that blast thousands of emails while you're sleeping, and even platforms that claim they can nurture customers better than you can. And honestly, some of them can actually work. But there's one thing no one's really talking about. When you use automation too early, it can quietly kill your business before it even takes off. And the crazy thing is, you won't even realize it's happening until it's too late. I've seen far too many businesses reach for automation and then miss out on the most valuable thing they could have gotten from their customer early on. It's not money, it's not leads, it's something way more important. So in this video, I'm going to break down the pros and cons of automation, where you should be using them, where you shouldn't, some wild case studies where it completely crushed and where sometimes it backfires, and show you why automation may not actually be the answer to growing your business, at least not yet. So I'm Ken, I'm one of the co-founders here at Clipflow, and I love building software. I co-founded a business called Realbase with my two brothers, which we sold in 2022 for 180 million. I've seen a whole bunch of businesses struggle with marketing, and I believe we can fix it with software. Our goal here at Clipflow is to help 100,000 people grow their businesses with content. So at the moment at Clipflow, we are trying to find our ideal customer. That's a major focus for us right now. Options include, for us, is organic content, running ads, giving away resources, and generally optimizing marketing, right? So that's obviously, like most businesses, I imagine we're all aiming to do the same things, is get that customer, let them know about us, because guess what? No one knows who you are. So today we're going to talk about automating not everything, nothing. Is that the answer to this? Is this going to help us grow the business? Now, at this stage, it's easy to look at tools, manychat or automated cold outreach, and think, if I just plug this thing in, it's going to instantly run the marketing system without me having to do anything, right? In the many years of running businesses, I have seen that if you introduce automation too early, it can actually hurt your business rather than actually helping you grow. So straight into it. Obviously, automation is not all bad, right? There are pros to this. There's a reason why people do this. Some of the things, like you can have a look at the manychat case studies. So the Dream Workshop increased leads by 2 times, right? Now, I think this comes down, and it really does boil down to a couple of things. Realistically, when you want to use automation, right, it's to help get that response time. So a lot of these businesses are going to see things happening because of response times. I believe it was a Harvard study, right, that shows the quicker you respond to a lead, the more likely they are to convert, right? So this is a great case for using automation. We want to be using automation here if we can. And I think this is like later on. I think realistically, the actual answer is your response time should be as fast as possible. So you could use automation here to, send the initial like, hey, thanks for your message, we'll get right back to you, but then actually get back to them as fast as possible. And this is like, I'm really coming from the angle here of early on using automation, right? Like as you scale, obviously you need to do certain things to do the sheer volume, but in the beginning, you don't have that volume. We got the Dream Workshop increased leads by 2 times. Astral Restaurant Systems produced $52,000 in extra sales. Astral Restaurant Systems, right? These people, I imagine, I haven't seen these people, but I imagine they're a lot bigger than what most companies are. Obviously, manychat allows you to automate your conversations in Instagram if you haven't seen that. So they can send you some message you can have like a flow that feels realistic, but I think a lot of people get it. If something answers you instantly, you also start wondering if it is real. And I think in this world of AI, people are actually yearning for real people relationships, right? So what are the pros? Like obviously is response time, right? That's going to give you the main benefit there. Then what we're going to get here is we're going to have time savings, right? This is with any automation, we're going to get time savings. That's usually that's probably the main reason most people do it. Scaling, like scalability is a key thing as well. So you can do more, the same resources. Then what we're going to get is we're going to get higher conversion rates. And this all sounds amazing, right? Like, so why are we saying don't do this? Data collection. This is a pro. I guess it's like, it's easier to do. And then we have consistency, because the chatbot's always going to give the same answer. Not your, like, it doesn't matter about team. So, you also save like savings money, right? So dollars go down, right? So those are the pros. So there are a lot of pros here. Obviously, these things are all great, right? Easier to do data collection, high conversion rates, scaling, time saving. Like, why are we not doing it, right? I guess that's kind of the answer. So what are the cons now when we start doing this? So 9 problems with marketing automation that impact business. Let's see. What are the 9 problems here? We've got difficulty, and this is the TLDR, so they're giving solutions here for us, but difficulty in measuring ROI, marketing and sales silos, lack of real-time interaction. So like if you want to add in a human touch, low quality leads, because it treats every lead the same, inconsistency in brand presence, failure to utilize automation, lack of engaging content, relying on subpar data, and automating tasks that should not be automated. So that's some of these ones here. All right, so this is a big one, following someone else's formula, right? So you're doing what everyone else does. You're doing exactly the same. They're also using manychat. They're also doing automation. Now, there's a lot of stuff around manychat here because obviously communication we're talking about. But there's other tools, right? Like you can be doing email marketing. So if you're sending emails, bulk, the funniest ones for me is always when people use bulk email and then they forget to even put your right name in, because they usually what they're doing is they scanning an email list and then trying to pick your name out of it. And then they end up, and we've all seen this, you get an email that doesn't even have the right name in it, or it has no name. What do? You instantly disconnect because you're like, this is spam. Higher chance it goes to spam as well. Using these automation tools, we've always seen that there's a much higher rate of spam. So what we're also going to have is we're going to have a loss of personal connection. There's no human on the other side. So if someone actually asks the question, you're only going to reply with what it knows. So there's no personal connection. So like, for instance, when I like to send emails or cold emails, I will do a lot of research on the person. I will actually go and find something. So we deal with like YouTube creators and stuff like that. Go and watch their channel, watch a video, give them comment on their video. So it's like, it feels way more as like, yes, AI is getting better at doing this. But in this day right now, it's easy to just spend 2-3 minutes to actually go and find exactly what that person's doing. And then you can like give a human touch to it. I have found that those emails convert way higher, way higher than the ones that we automated, right? We tried that right in the beginning. So you lose that. You get reduced insights and feedback. We get spammy impression. When you write an automatic email, if you go and like craft it in a certain way, if you're dealing with someone local and you're like, oh man, like how bad's the rain been? Like for instance, I'm building a house. So like that's just on top of my mind. But you could be like, oh yeah, how bad's that weather or, whatever. That just adds like, it's going to be, you can automate things to the nth degree. But like, I'm just thinking the emails just feel the same. You can tell, when you read an email, you're like, that was generated by AI. So that was, someone just didn't write that. That was all automated. You also get setup complexity. This is a big one, right? Especially when you're starting out. The time that it takes to set up a proper automation takes a long time. Something that actually works. And then, so like, realistically, you have some examples, right? I think these are some good examples. What we've seen, right? We all saw this was cafes using table ordering. We've seen these in restaurants. You go in there and you now scan a code and you don't have to talk to anyone, right? Some people love that. What they've done here is they've lost connection to the customer. Yeah, it's cheaper, it's automated, it's all great. But guess what? You can't upsell the customer. It's very difficult to upsell from a QR code. But if you have a really good waiter or waitress that comes up to your table and actually says, hey, here's the specials, they create a connection, they give something else. People leave with, a different feeling from that place. It's not just, a transaction. Because the problem with a transaction is you can find a transaction anywhere. Then all you're relying on is your food. But if you have a really good service, because you see a lot of things get rated by service. What is that? Is that something that's automated? No, that's something that's not automated. That's going above and beyond. So the people that go and use these table ordering QR codes, yes, they get that efficiency to the kitchen, but they lose the personal touch. Another reason is like, for instance, if you're a startup, right, and you start automating all these procedures, but you don't actually have any customers, with no customers. So you got this complex systems, but with no money coming in. So you spend all your time building a system to end up with no customers anyway. So you've done all this cool work. You feel good. You've done great work. Your whole business is scalable and automated. You have nothing to scale. This happens all the time, right? Before you even start. And this is something software engineers do a lot. I'm also guilty of it. Try and think of like, is this system scalable? What do we need to do? But hey, bro, just get some users first. Then worry about that. All right. So where does it leave us? Now, realistically, so we've got the pros, we've got the cons of each thing, but what is it that we need to do in the beginning? And I believe that it is doing the unscalable, right? So we want to be doing this early on. So in the beginning, when you grow, yeah, cool, you can do other things. And we want to be doing automation. We want to be, figuring out how we can do as much as possible with the least amount of resources. But in the beginning, what we want to focus on is manual touch points, right? As many as you can. This is what we want to be really focusing on in the beginning. How can you interact with your customer as many times as possible, face to face, or via you're literally on Instagram DMing them. How can you do that? Because what you're going to do is you're going to build a relationship. You're going to build relationships here, right? That no one can really get and take away. And also you're going to have raving fans. We're going to end up with raving fans, which is super key. These people are going to be like, I like that person. Yeah, maybe your product, maybe your service isn't that good, but they're going to like you. And this is what we want to do in the beginning. What we want to also do is we want to do one-on-one. It creates insights that automation can't do. So now an example of this is when you want to refine your product. Your customers are going to tell you what you need to do, what business you need to build. What are the things that are actually important? Automation is not going to tell you that. They're just going to be like, hello, thank you, how can I help you? It's going to give you the offer you already have. So if you're selling the wrong offer, automation is not going to help you here. But if you're selling the wrong offer by communicating to your customer, you're very quickly going to see in their tone, in the way they behave, the way they act, the way they respond. You're going to tell if your offer is good or bad very quickly. And then you can ask them, like, what would you, like, would this be interesting to you? Would that be interesting? So it's going to be great that these insights here and learnings, right? So we're talking about learnings that are going to improve your business. That's what's super important here. Do a lot of this. This one's also really good, right? It's going to show you the pain. By doing things manual, it's going to show you the pain. It's going to show you where are bottlenecks. And then what that leads to is you building something better. If you don't know the pain, how can you build something better? So for instance, an example of this right now, in Clipflow, we've gone back to the drawing board. We've tried to automate all our content posting, right? It's been pretty bad, to be honest. It hasn't really been something that's been a good experience just based on the products that are out there in the market. But what we're doing is we're learning what we want to do because we're going to automate it. We're manually doing it all, so we can figure out what it is we want to be doing. Then we can actually come in and build what we want because we know exactly the process we want to follow. But if we were just automating it all, we're kind of like going, yeah, that's good enough. But realistically, it was just hurting us in the long run. Some classic founder stories, right? So we've got some classic examples. So here we can go examples of people who've done this, right? We have our big friends here, not so small anymore, but they were a startup once, old Airbnb. So they literally went door to door and took photos of each listing themselves. This was them doing the unscalable. This was doing the things that could not be automated. They were trying to get other people to do it and just couldn't do it. And in order to get the quality up, they went door to door and took photos. This is doing the unscalable. This is what sets them apart. This is how they launched themselves. Then what we have is another monster. If you don't know these guys, is our friend Stripe. So what they did is they were literally founders were onboarding. Now, realistically, think about this. You're a founder. You got better things to do. Why am I onboarding? I can automate that by shoving that to my support team or my, customer service team. Or nowadays, I can just automate it to some automation bot that I'm using on my thing. Why are they doing this? They're doing this so that they can learn. While they're onboarding the customer, they can see the problems they're having. Imagine what they were doing was saying, hey, you drive, you take the keyboard, you figure out what's important, and we can see where you're getting stuck. We do this at Clipflow too. We get the user to run through, and then we can say, oh, that button's not clear. That's not clear. You are going to get things here. If I was automating that, so the way you automate this in a business is usually with people. You say, hey, you do it for me. I would not get that. And a lot of the time, some team members may not be built to look for those things. So by doing it as a founder, you're going to actually get way better insights. Classic stuff. And you know both these companies because they're enormous. They did the unscalable things first and then scaled after. And yeah, so our example is literally committing to the hands-on from the start means that we hear the truth from customers, right? We can see it directly, even if it takes more effort. It's like doing that. And also the same thing with messaging. We're also messaging manually. We reach out manually. Yes, it's slower. Yes, you don't do as much volume, but guess what? You get to have proper conversations with humans rather than just letting a bot try and sort it out. We've all seen what bot just start going downhill and just go completely off tangent, just on me. All right, so landing the aeroplane right here. I don't think you should be thinking about automating customer-facing tasks early on or ever. To be honest, I'm going to even throw that out there. I think when dealing with the customer, we've seen this. One thing that I think is hurt us as a business and why I would like to share this with everyone is because we started offshoring our support and unfortunately quality went down. When we stepped away and we started offshoring it, the quality goes down. Now, obviously this is something that happens in bigger business. It's very difficult to control. Try not to or do it at the last resort. Automate things that are like inside the system, like internal, fine, great, no problem. But anything that touches the customer, try and avoid as long as possible. We all know the stories of all the new chatbots inside of big corporations where you literally cannot get help. That is hurting your brand. That is hurting your business. By doing this, you're actually giving yourself the best opportunity to build deep relationships and actually earn trust with people. So make sure you keep people on people. And yes, it's harder and less efficient, but it's also the foundation that makes future automation work. So yeah, like I said, with us, we are trying to do full manual onboarding from founders. We are doing manual outreach from the team. We DM people, we send emails manually. We do all those things because we know how valuable it is. And to be perfectly fair, we tried automation in the beginning with really poor results. And I'm not saying automation doesn't work. It does work, and it can work well with cold, but I found the conversion is so much better with manual human work. So automation is extremely powerful, but only once you've earned it by doing the unscalable first, right? So that's what I want to leave you with. Now, realistically, tell me what you are doing in your business that you think should be automated. I want to hear about that. I also want to hear about other things that you think should not be automated. If you like this video, please do like it, subscribe to our channel. We are giving little business nuggets as we go. It's from all our learnings over the last 10 years building a software platform from literally zero in the backyard shed. We did the startup story all the way to 400 plus people, which we then sold. Like I said, we're trying to give away as much information as we can. And the things that we did, as well as the things we saw other people do, that wasn't ideal. So cool. Until next time, catch you on the next one.